Hello, once again. It is time to find out what's happening in this market world for a Monday. Joining us today is Mike Zuzolo. Mike is with Global Commodity Analytics, and I'm Susan Littlefield with the Rural Radio Network. I tell you, Mike, snow is coming in. We know it's going to hit parts of Nebraska and obviously all of Kansas down into the plains, and that seems to have kind of taken a little bit of a toll on what we see in this wheat complex to start out the week.
Yeah, I think so, Susan. We've had the situation earlier in the day with higher prices on the wheat, and I think that was probably being pulled higher by the European news, the Black Sea markets, talking about the Russian crop being maybe even tighter than earlier thought by one of the private trade analysts in Russia. And the still very strong export prices for Russia. They're not backing down at all at this stage, but those got us through the opening. And I think then the trade started to wake up to the idea that, well, what if Oklahoma and Kansas receive, 6 to 8 inches of snow? And what if that's part of that's going to be liquid precip? So not unlike what we've dealt with in Argentina and Brazil the past month and a half, 2 months, it's going to be pretty important coverage, what type of precip and what the totals are going to be as we sit here pretty much 24 hours from now.
So we could say a bright spot in the market happens to be this corn complex, in part because Mexico back in again early this morning with some buying.
Yeah, very welcome news. We had heard the news Sunday night, early Monday morning, that there was going to be some fresh tariffs on steel and aluminum, but that's been, kind of ignored by the trade because we did see some current marketing year sales of over 300,000 tons of U.S. corn to Mexico, really helping the corn, probably the long side of spreads as we get ready for that WASDE report tomorrow.
And speaking of that report, do you expect any surprises in those numbers?
I think the trade may be expecting a surprise for the soybeans, and that's probably why they're maybe the short side of the spreads. We just don't know if Brazil's crop's going to go up or down as they reportedly get more aggressive on their harvest pace in Brazil. Argentina is the biggest question mark, though, for both corn and beans, but size of Brazilian soybean crop is anywhere right now as far as the private trade guesses.
And of course, we'll get all those numbers coming out tomorrow. Thanks, Mike, for joining us for today. Of course, we will have the channel final bell later today. We'll be diving into more of these topics and a whole lot more. You can catch that, by the way, if you miss it live through a podcast at ruralradionetwork.com. And that's a look to what we see so far in the markets. I'm Susan Littlefield for the Rural Radio Network.